Good morning, class. All right, welcome to another day of amazing math. I am your teacher, Hasan Rangwala. Let's begin. So today we're going to be learning about natural log rules. Boring, right? No, I'm kidding. Actually, it's pretty fun. Actually, log is actually one of the fun things you actually get to do in math. So let's begin. So with natural log, there are three rules. So the first rule is, I don't know why it's tilted. Okay, the product rule, right? The next rule we have is the quotient rule. I cannot spell today. My bad. Quotient. There we go. My bad. And then the final rule we have is the power rule. Alrighty. So let's think about it. We know what product and quotient means, but the power, does that mean I get superpowers? No, of course not. That means it has something to do with an exponent. So let's dive in more. So for the product rule, our rule is that if we have, let's say we have log bx to the y, we can rewrite that to say log of b of x can be added to the log of b of y. All right. So again, the most important thing you have to remember is, so when two constants are being multiplied and they have the same base, which they will obviously have, you can actually switch it to where they're being added. Okay. Now for the quotient rule, let's say I have log b of m divided by n. So just like exponents. So for example, let's say we had, okay, you see that? Nope, no, you cannot. Let's say we had x5, x to the fifth divided by x to the third. We know what we would do is we would subtract x to the fifth minus x to the third, and that would allow us to get x to the squared. So same thing here. Now we could say log b of x minus log b of y. Okay, so again, the most important thing we need to highlight is that when we have two constants that are being multiplied, just like we do with exponents, we can easily move it to where it becomes log b of that one constant minus log b of the second constant. Okay. Finally, we have the power rule. Go Superman. No kidding. So let's say we have log b of x. That's such a bad x. I'm sorry. X to the y. So instead of worrying about it like that, we can easily make it to where it's log b to the x. And then, instead of adding the y as an exponent, we can move it to the front so that it's actually being multiplied. All right? So, those are the three main rules we have to know. So now let's go through some examples. And again, the most important thing for this one, the important thing we need to highlight is that when you have an exponent, when you have a constant as an exponent, you can actually move it to the front and rewrite it like that. All right, so let's do some examples. Oh, yeah. So, example one. You can see this right here. Okay, let's say I have log of 6 and it's 5x. So based on our rules, we know that because these two are being multiplied, we can use the product rule. So what we would do is we would say log 6, 5 plus log 6 of y. And that would be our final answer. Pretty simple, right? Let's do another example. Example number 2. Now let's say we have, oh, and the most important thing you have to remember is you can also do it the opposite way, right? So let's say now if we wanted to just switch this back, right? So let's say now we have log 3 of 10 plus log 3 of x. So using the product rule, we just flip it backwards. So now we can say, hey, they both have the same base, so we can just log 3 of 10x. Pretty simple, right? Hopefully. All right. So again, so now let's do another example. So let's say I have log 7 of x divided by 3, right? Or actually, yeah, let's just do 3. So if I wanted to rewrite that, all I would do is I would say log 7 of x minus log 7 of 3. And we're good. So again, same thing. Let's say I wanted to rewrite this. So let's say I have another example. So that would say log 8 of x minus log 8 of 4. We would just make it so it's log 8 x divided by 4. So again, the main thing we have to remember is we can do it backwards. So we can just use the quotient rule and switch it. But we just have to remember that when we have two constants being divided, we make sure that, oh, and the most important thing is we have to have the same base. If they don't have the same base, especially here, then these rules won't work. Sorry. Okay. So we have to make sure that that's the case, that we have the same bases. Okay? Finally, let's do a third example. Now we have the power rule, correct? So let's say I have log 2 x to the third. So what I can do is I can switch it to where I can move this to the front, right? So now I can say I have 3 times log 2 of x. And again, if we wanted to flip it, we could just do, let's say we had log 4 log 2 of x. We could always switch it so where it becomes log 2 x to the 4th. So again, let's make sure we highlight the most important things. First and most important thing for the product rule is when we have two constants multiplied, we can add them. We can always reverse it. The second rule for quotient rule, when we have two constants, and they're being divided, we have to make sure we can also switch to where it becomes subtracted. We can reverse it. For the power rule, if we have two constants, one constant acts like a exponent, we can move it to the front and make it just multiply through by the whole expression, and we can do the opposite, so we can flip it back. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. I'm not a very good math teacher, but I like to try my best. And yeah, I hope you guys have a great day. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know. Math rules, woohoo!